Okay, welcome back to Bebop Review. This last lesson from Berklee Level 1 is on cadences. Now, we should start, the next one after this should be Level 2 Berklee, but I'm not going to go into Level 2 straight away. I know it's going to really irritate some of you, but I just want to go over some things that the Berklee course doesn't actually go into. So I just want to give you a little bit more information on things. So I just want to tidy it up, probably another couple of videos after this one, just tidying up, and so we can, when we move into the next one, which will be secondary dominant chords, you'll have a better understanding of things, mainly chord symbols and stuff. I want to go a bit more into chord symbols. So looking at this, right, so we're talking about cadences. So let's try and define what a cadence is. Right, a cadence means a melodic or harmonic movement to a point of rest. The point of rest is the cadence, right? So here we've got some cadences, right? We're in the key of B major, right? We're in bass clef, B major. This is just a bass line I've written out, and these are the chords. Okay. So we're in the key of B major, we've got a B chord here, and then we move into D7, right? And now obviously D7 is not in the key of B major, isn't it? Because in B major you've got a D sharp, right? Which is that sharp there. So so this is obviously some kind of second, it's actually a substitute chord, isn't it, this? This is a substitute chord. And it's going to this G major, right? Let me think. Yeah, it's going to G major, right? Which is also not in the key of B major. So we're actually going into different keys here. So, can you tell me what key we're going into? Well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? We're in B major here, and then this is a 2-5, a 5-1. In G major, so we have now moved to the key of G. Actually, I'll just write that in. We can do drawing on this, can't we? Just a minute, let me get a pen. Write it in a little bit deeper colour. Right, so we've got a cadence here, perfect cadence. Oh God, that's horrible. Too thick. Let's try that. That's better, isn't it? So that is a perfect cadence, right? So D7 to G, and this is in the key of G. So in the key of G, what would this be called, this D7? Well, it's the fifth, isn't it? So it's the dominant. I'll put a little D, so it's the dominant. Sorry about that. And this is the tonic in the key of G. So we're in the key of G from there to there, okay? And now we've moved to, and this is like in the key of G, that would be a 5, and that would be a 1. That's in the key of G, right? And now here we've moved to B flat 7, which is obviously setting up another cadence. So obviously this is B flat 7 going to E flat, major 7, right? So what key are we in here? Well, this is obviously, another 5-1, but this time we're in the key of E flat. Put it there. You get that? Pretty easy, isn't it? Sorry about this. And now we're moving to another F sharp 7. So, so F sharp, remember, it's a perfect fifth movement of a dominant chord going to a tonic chord. So that's, you put an arrow in to emphasize that. So this is yet another 5-1, isn't it? And this time, because we're going back to the tonic, the root of the chord, that is obviously the fifth of B major. So we're actually in the key of B major here. So I'll actually just put a little B there to tell you we've gone back to B. So we started off here in the key of B, but we kind of cycled through different keys, didn't we? Went to G, then went to E flat, then back to B, and we did it by going through these 5 ones. We established different tonalities, didn't we? You think that's quite interesting? Because I do. I think when I first learned about this, I thought, oh God, that's interesting, isn't it? How you can go through all different keys. You're not actually stuck in the same key all the time. You can cycle through them quite fast. And all you need to identify that tonality is just 2 chords. 5 and a 1 will establish another tonality. So we've got a tonality of B, which is obviously the major, the key we're starting at, right? And then these 5 ones are established in different keys. You've got G, E flat, and then back to B again. Okay, so that's quite interesting, isn't it? So these cadences, what are these cadences called? Well, they're called, all these cadences are called dominant. Dominant. So I just can't write with this. I'm writing with mouse now because I have got a pen to do this, but I actually find it harder than mouse actually. So I need to work on that as well and learn how to use pen better. Okay, so this is dominant. So I hope you're writing all this down, what I'm doing. If that's all dominant cadences, all these here, 5's going to 1s, right? What other type of cadences do we have, right? Okay, let's have a quick look. Okay, so this particular type of cadence here, obviously if you look at these chords, we're in the key of F, this is chord 1, isn't it? So this becomes chord 4, and this becomes 1, right? So we have a cadence that goes 4 to 1. Now that's called, in American jazz, it's called a subdominant cadence. In English concert music, that would be called a plagal cadence. But in jazz we call it subdominant cadence, right? And it's 4 to 1. Now there's no arrow. I've just put that arrow just to show you where it is, but there's no arrow in a subdominant cadence, right? You only put an arrow in when it's dominant movement, 5 to 1, some kind of perfect fifth type movement. Okay. I think. So we've got so the actual lines here are tonic. I'll just put that in. Look, tonic, subdominant, and tonic. Sorry about this. I'm writing with mouse. I've actually got a pen to write this. I just can't use it at the moment. I need to practice on it a bit, I think, to be able to write on it. So we've got exactly the same things here, haven't we? So that's also. Oh, here we go. Don't do what I'm doing. Right, so this is 4-1. 4-1. Right, put it up there so it's out of the way. 4-1. And 4-1. Well, obviously we've gone through another key here, haven't we? So what's this key? Well, it's obviously B flat, and this key is obviously C. So that's a 4-1 in C. So these are all subdominant cadences. Okay. 1-4-1s. So hope you understand that. So we'll carry on now to the next one. So here, I'm looking at this bit here now, and so I'm looking at, it's called a full cadence. The Americans call this a full cadence, right? We're in the key of G, right? So this is the tonic chord. This is the 5th chord moving to it. Just draw them in. If I can. This is chord 5. This is chord 1. And this is chord 4. Right. So this is, if you look at this chord here is subdominant because it's chord 4, isn't it? Right. This chord here is dominant. And this chord here is the tonic. Now, if you get a movement like this, which goes subdominant to tonic, that's called a full cadence. because all the functional sounds are present in that small 3-chord, group. And all the sounds are in. So if you count all those notes, let's count all those notes, shall we? So we've got a C here, C, E, G, A, D, F, right, and D down there. And then you've got B, D, G, and a G down there. Every note in the key of G is there, isn't it? You've got G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We've got the whole things. So within a group of subdominant, dominant, and tonic, you get all the notes represented, right? And that's considered quite a good thing in music because you're playing a lot of variety. You're playing all the different notes that you can play in that key. Okay, so a full cadence is quite important. In fact, a full cadence is very, very important in songwriting. You hear them all the time, right? Not 4/5 ones, but you hear subdominant, dominant, tonic kind of chords moving, okay? So if you've got your piano, right, you want to just play these chords and listen to this, how it's going. We're going 4/5/4. Now let's look at the root movement here. This root movement is just going up by step from this C to this D, and then we're dropping down. We're moving like fifth movement here. So we've got fifth movement, haven't we? So this is not. By the way, I'm putting an arrow in because it's a root movement of 5/1, right? But that's not a dominant seventh, right? It's a dominant chord. It's D. It's dominant in this key, but it's not a dominant seventh. 5 does want to move to 1, right? It's just a natural thing in music. But 5/7, if that were a 5/7 with a tritone, it really want to move to 1, because it's really unstable and wants to move on. So that's pretty much, I think, yeah. Like I say, if you look here, you've got the only step movement here. Now, strongest movement is by perfect fifth. So a lot in music. I mean, this is what we used quite a lot. This 4/5/1 and different things with 4 chords. We use a lot in concert music. But in popular music, well, not really in popular music. I mean, from classically here, I should say, they started replacing the 4 with 2. So you got 2/5/1, which I'll talk about in a minute. But let's just carry on a bit to the next one. Right, in this one here, we've got a subdominant chord. Now, can you see the difference? The only difference in that chord, in that D7, that D sus chord, it's not a D7 sus, it's just a D sus chord, and the D chord was the F has now moved up to a G, right? Just one note different. Everything else is same. You want to play those on a piano and listen to them. It does make a really big difference just moving that up. Really change its sound of this chord D to D sus. And if you look now, this top line is just remaining steady. See, it's G all the time now. Okay, so you've got very steady voice leading, very strong on the G. So this is a very subtle movement, a suspended 4 movement, because there's no tritone compared to a D7, that is, which I've just been talking about. So like I say, the best thing to do is just play these on a piano and actually listen yourself to them. So we've got, so here it's 4, which is subdominant. Then we've got 5. This is a 5 sus. Sus 4. Then going to 1. Basically, again, with sus 4, it's kind of like in this situation, it's actually operating as dominant because it's got a perfect fifth movement from that D down to that G. So we do put an arrow in, like I said before, because of the perfect fifth movement. You put the arrow in when you've got some kind of dominant type chord going to a tonic type chord, right? You put the arrow in. In this case, we've got a perfect fifth movement, you see. So the arrow goes in, but there's no tritone in that chord, right? Let's move on to the next chord then. Okay, so this is a different version of the sus chord. If you look here, we've got 4 chord. This is the 4 chord, isn't it? It's going to 5, 7, sus 4. Yep. And then going to 1. Right. This chord here is actually it's the same, isn't it? It's C, right? But all it's got a D in the root. So it's a subdominant chord with a dominant root, right? Now that's a D7 sus 4, because obviously you've got this C here, so it's actually making it a D7, isn't it? With sus 4, fourth is that G. It's still a sus chord, isn't it? That, so you would definitely, looking at that, you would have movement, perfect fifth movement, wouldn't you? Because it's still got this root, perfect fifth movement in the root here, down here, going from 5 to 1. So it's same thing. It's dominant function kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's definitely got this dominant. That's really subtle. That if you play that on a piano, I don't want to do it because it take me too long to. I'm limited for time here, so it take me too long even just to play. I'll see if I can play that on computer for you and stick it in. But it's very, very subtle, that, because all you've got is this movement here, isn't it? The chord is basically it's just holding there, and all you've got is just the root moving, and then back down to G. So that's a very subtle movement, that, isn't it? With C over D, which translates to another sus chord. See what I mean about sus chords? It's as long as the dominant, they have a subdominant upper structure, but the root of the chord is dominant, you know what I mean? So they're a little bit strange, aren't they? They're like not really true dominance, but then they disguising themselves as dominance with this root, you know what I mean? So they've got this function of moving to the G with the root, this perfect fifth root movement. That's all you've got there, taking it to G. All these are holding, aren't they? This is holding at G here, and then we've just got slight movement down here, see what I mean? Take you down there. So it's a very, very subtle movement. That's very subtle. In fact, you basically, the only reason you can tell that's moving from the 4 to the 5 is that root. It's just holding that chord, isn't it? So let's have a look at the last one. Okay, so just looking at these last ones, this is what you probably see more in jazz. You probably recognise this. This is called a cadence that goes 2 minor 7 to a 5/7 to a 1 in a key. It's got really very strong root movement. See all this? It's all perfect fifth movements, very, very strong, and it's a particular variation of the full cadence, right? This, and because of this perfect fifth movement, it's very strong, and masses amount of contemporary music use this kind of root movement totally exclusively. So it's very, very strong, isn't it? So I'll just put in the arrows. So obviously you've got a 5/1 there, so you've got an arrow there. This is obviously in the key of G, so this is 2-5-1 in G. 2, 5, 7, 8, 1. I should put 1 major 7. That's, if it's a major 7 chord, you've got to put, you call it a 1, but you've got to put in the extension. Okay, so you've got a 5, a 2. Actually, it's same with that as well. You've got to put minor 7 because you're emphasizing the extension as well, even in analysis. So you've got 2 minor 7, 5/7, 1. They've got exactly the same here: 2 7 5 7 1, but that's in F. And then you got C minor, F7, D in B flat, obviously. And then that one, A minor 7, D7, G in G major. So I'm assuming you get that, but nah. So there, that's perfect cadence. Sorry, a full cadence, right? It's called a perfect cadence in classical music. I don't know why I keep saying that. It's obviously going back to my classical day. I think the Americans call it an authentic perfect cadence in their classical music. But obviously that is called a dominant cadence in jazz, right? Although you get some jazz books that say it's called a perfect cadence or a perfect authentic cadence. You've really got to watch out for this. But Berklee call that a dominant cadence, right? That's their jazz take on it. Okay. Now that's it for this lesson. I'll try and edit it down a bit because I've been talking for quite a long time. But I'm sorry about this actually because I'm really pushed for time. I've got to get this done tomorrow, and then I'm working now for the next couple of weeks. I'm obviously working away from home, so I'm not going to be near a computer now. I'll keep checking. I'll keep checking the Facebook page and the YouTube site on my laptop. But obviously, I can't do any video editing. It's certainly not as powerful as this computer I'm using now. So it'll be a couple of weeks before the next video comes on. So I apologise for that. I just seem to be very, very busy at the moment. So I'm sorry for rushing this and not putting fancy graphics in like I usually do and playing the music for you and all that kind of stuff. But that's going to take too much time and I won't be able to get it finished for today if I do all that. So I hope you followed that. So I'll see you in a few weeks. All right, bye.